friends, and welcome to another colour along. We're colouring from Serendipity today, and we're colouring this page called Night Lights, which has a sweet little dragon who's asleep and it seems to have a light tail. He's attracting fireflies. I don't know if it's a good thing, an innocent thing, or a nefarious thing. But we'll see how we go as we colour it. If you don't have Serendipity, that's right, because in the illustration that I'm colouring is from the September Colour Club pack, which you can get at rjhampson.com, and you can colour along with everything I'll be colouring in September. Right, let's talk about this image. Before I start this image, I think I'm going to add something to it, and I'm going to just gently draw in a border around it. I'm starting out with pencil because I want to make sure I get it in the right place before I start inking on my page. Please forgive me for constantly editing and changing my pictures. But it's hard to resist. All right, I'm grabbing an ink pen. This is a Fineliner. Make sure it's waterproof, whichever one you use, so that you don't smudge it later on with the mediums that you use. Now I'm thinking I might even just use the ruler to draw these lines in. Forgive the silence, I'm just concentrating. Right, let's get rid of that ruler. And that's going to help contain the colour or give us the ability to have a colour border outside of the illustration. I think it just helps to... All right, so we have a challenge. This is a challenging illustration, I think, because we've got all these light sources. We've got fireflies that are glowing. We've got this little tail that's glowing. We've got a circle here, which could be something that's glowing. So I think we start with our light sources, and I'm going to grab a light yellow. This is Lemon Chiffon. And I just want to colour in... I want to colour in all these glowing light sources. So not only do we have these glowing light sources, we've got a glass jar in the midst of it all, which is also a challenge. But I'm always a big fan of, before you start getting right into your colour, just have a think about your light source, how you're going to colour the light source, and prepare. So I try to get rid of, pull out all those places where I'm going to want my light to be, so I don't accidentally colour them in, because it's harder to put the light back in once you've coloured it out. That's a good start. I'm going to bring in a darker yellow now. This is Lemon Yellow. And I want to just start to create a different... a vignette from the yellows working out. And just while that's still a little bit wet, I'm going to blend it a bit with lemon chiffon. And then I want to bring in just a little bit darker yellow. This is melon yellow. All right, let's just imagine where that light's going to be glowing. I think it would be glowing through the glass to this sort of area from his own tail. I even think it would be on his tail. I think it would be glowing from these guys onto the branches here and here. So I'm just wanting to, so this is a nice light yellow. It's not going to be a problem to paint over this later on, but it'll give us an idea when we're colouring of where to not colour, if that makes sense. I think with these would probably be glowing here as well. And even maybe on some of this dragon's body. All right, this is the lemon yellow again. And the melon yellow. Oh, lemon chiffon. All right, I just want to imagine where the ground's going to be and give myself a little border here with my ink pen. And now I want to think about the sky. Let's think about the sky. Let's think about maybe some extra glow on those, on the little bugs. Maybe like a light prawn. I've used that colour before, but it's got a great name. Not sure about light prawn. Let's play with some other colours. What about a more purpley one, like a mallow? I just want to add another glow around our things. I've tried a few different ones. I'm going to go with this one, which is called mallow. I think that's the right tone. It'll get me into the purples, and then maybe we do like a purpley dragon. But we'll see how we go with that. And I think we even bring that glow around a bit. So what I'm trying to do is find a colour that's going to go from the yellows to the sky, which is going to be a night sky. So probably a dark bluey, purpley colour that we'll pick out. Well, this is a purple mallow, so hopefully it's just a little bit darker than that mallow. Now, I'm going to bring some coloured pencils in, I think, towards the end of this. But I just wanted to get the base colours down in markers because I thought, can I do this in markers? Because it's such a challenge with all the light sources. And if you've watched any of my colour alongs, you'll know that I am quite fond of my Ohuhu markers. All right, let's look at these colours. What have I got? Purple mallow. So I've got purple mallow and mallow. Now I want a sky colour. that's a bit darker. Maybe Bluebell. It's in the same sort of Bluebell or Rust Purple. Let's play with those two. So this is our Rust Purple and that's our Bluebell. Maybe I use both. No, I think I'm going to go with the Rust Purple. No, the Bluebell. I'm going to go with the Bluebell. So it's a very purpley blue. I'll just bring that purple mallow in, just blend it a little bit. You'll let that dry and see what happens. Now I do have a sheet of paper and a sheet of acetate under here in case you're wondering. I recently started to colour without that and I realised well into it that thankfully I'd only been using my colours lightly so I didn't destroy the illustration behind it. But it certainly didn't enhance it very much. Now if I bring back in this colour, the mallow, not the purple mallow, the mallow, so maybe I can blend that a little bit more. Well, I think that's good. I'm liking that sky colour. I'll bring my Bluebell back in. And then our purple mallow to blend. And then just our straight mallow, so we can blend that in a little bit further. Make it look like our little fireflies are glowing. Right, what we did here, I'm just going to roll that out across the whole background using those three colours, Bluebell being the sky, which is another colour I haven't used much. But it's a nice purpley blue, isn't it? Now I have been interested in getting a set of brush nibs on the lilies, I think, from Ohuhu. But they weren't available when I was looking around, so I just grabbed myself this set of Oahus, which have got the chisel and then the fine nib. And I must say, I am quite fond of the chisel nib. I know it's not everyone's favourite. I think the reason is that years ago, when I started as a graphic designer, we had Pantone markers. And those Pantone markers were they were chisel nibs. They had one marker with one nib, and it was the chisel nib. And then they had a second marker, which you could buy with a fine nib, so you had two markers for each colour. And they were expensive, so studios had a selection of these. And this was when computers were first sort of introduced back in the day. We were still doing artwork on drawing desks with ink pens and gluing on typesetting, and then you'd do an overlay and you'd have Pantone markers to match your colours to tell the film guys how to make the film. So I used to do a lot of work with those Pantone markers, and you quite worked out how to use those chisel nibs. Obviously you don't have your own set, you share, the studio shares a set, which of course means that some of them are quite well used and the nibs get fluffy. This is Purple Mallow, so using these nibs has been a sort of a walk down memory lane. And we should bring back that mallow. Just blend into the blends. I know this isn't the most efficient use of your markers, but we're going for the gold here, aren't we, with the colours. I'm going to essentially ignore this line for now, the big circle around the jar. And maybe play with it a bit later, maybe not. We'll see how we go. And back to our mallow. You'll be noticing that the lighter colours, if you run them back over into the darker colours, they do start to, if you keep at it, suck out some of that dark and sort of blend it all in. So the colours are acting like colourless blenders in a sense. So if I keep going, it just sort of sucks that darker colour out. And hopefully gives the effect that there's a glow around those guys, those little fireflies. Back to our bluebell. Better get my fine nib out for this. It's being a little bit too ambitious there. we're bringing that purple mallow back in just to get that blend and working it into the dark bluebell. And the same with the mallow. All right, we bring in the purple mallow, get some blends happening. And then we bring in the mallow. Just keep on blending. It's a bit of a blend fest, people. But we're getting there. I think most of the hard parts are now done. And then look at that sky that we've been given. I think it's going to look great. Finishing off with our bluebell. All right, let's play with these bugs a little bit. Let's use that purple mallow. Maybe just add a little bit of that bluebell in. I really think some melon yellow. Oh, a really, really light blue. Like I'm even thinking blue-grey 11. Just see if we can get a little bit of colour into these wings. I'm going to keep going with that. Bit of purple mallow. Bluebell. Now a little bit of melon yellow. All right, then I'm bringing that blue-grey 11 in. I'm just using it to, you know how we used it before to blend out our dark colours? Well, doing the same thing because you see the bleed in there. If we just keep putting in that blue-grey, that lighter colour, we should be able to suck out most of that horrible bleed. And what we'll also do is that bleed will then sort of blend in to our blue-grey and give us subtle textural and colour differences, which will only help our illustration. Now I'm also going to use this blue-grey on my job, blue-grey 11. Try not to get too carried away with this. But it's fun putting colour in. It sort of looks a bit glassy, doesn't it? We'll keep working on that later, but for now that's good. All right, let's have a change of pace, shall we? Let's look at these vines. And let's find green. What do you think? I think we maybe need some more of these yellowy colour. Maybe we go olive yellow and deep yellow green. Well, that's our olive yellow and that's our deep yellow green. I'm just thinking that could work. Could work, people. Well, let's play with a little bit. It's our olive yellow. I think our tips should be green. Now I'm bringing out that deep yellow green. Do the same thing here, but remember we've got that light shining on this side of it. So let's bring that lemon chiffon and sort of make a blend work there for us. I think that's working. Let's keep rolling out those colours. And that lemon chiffon will bring that in to blend the colour. Maybe just a touch of lemon yellow along the edge there. And I think we could put some lemon chiffon in that leaf as well. Maybe even some lemon yellow on the edge. And I just want to play with a little bit of purple mallow. I don't know why. I think it might add to the shadows. Plus it's also going to tie in these colours a little bit. See what I mean? It's given us some depth to our colours, and I think it does tie in that the sky to our vine. All right, let's keep going back to our olive yellow. And I just coloured over that, but remembering to keep these edges here shining light. All right, moving straight on to our deep yellow green. Breaking out the lemon chiffon, we're just going to blend those edges. I told you this is a blend fest earlier, and it really is, isn't it? And blend that back too. And I do just love putting a tiny bit of that lemon yellow just to bring some of that warmth from the glow onto parts, just along the edges. And there may be some of that mallow, purple mallow. Just to give ourselves a bit of shadow and tie-in. Well, I noticed down here it sort of dried out. It all adds to the rich texture that is our colour palette. All right, let's keep rolling. We're bringing back in olive yellow. And I even think we'll carry it through this line. And we'll keep going with our little colour mix with our deep yellow green. I wasn't sure what to do here, but I think I'm going to start with that lemon chiffon. I'm just going to bathe that whole area in that light. The light's shining through there would be a nice thing. And even if we come back in later and colour over it, we've got a good base. It's going to tie us in, tie us in. All right, let's bring out that olive yellow again. I can't remember the colour for some reason. Olive yellow. Leaving the tips to be green. And remembering to leave where we've got our lights flowing from. Deep yellow green. And I'm being nice and textural. I'm not worrying too much about the preciseness because the blend of these colours is where the magic's happening. All right, now we're bringing back our lemon chiffon and we're just going to blend, 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 baby blend. And just for fun, I'm going to put touches of the lemon yellow just to warm up. That lemon chiffon's a bit greeny and cold, which works well. But I think just a touch of that lemon yellow. All right, olive yellow. Let's just continue down. And continue to mix that with that green, deep yellow green. And I think we'll do that deep yellow green on these little grassy bits. All right, let's talk about these flowers. I think I want them to be a little light sources, so we're going to lemon chiffon the centers. And then I'm going to lemon yellow in around that. And then I want a bit of melon yellow just on the inside petals. You know, bring back the mallow, which is this nice bright pinky colour here. I'm just going to blend that into the melon yellow. So in a way, we're sort of echoing the glow around those bugs. We have to do some of this remedial colour. I think that's going to look great. going to bring a little bit more pink in. I've got this really bright pink, which is cerise. And I'm just going to tip the ends of these petals because I want them to stand out a little bit. See how it just lifts those flowers a tiny bit. Bluebell, let's bring our bluebell back in. What colour do we do our dragon, do you think, people? I'm wondering if we do an orange dragon. Now, I've already established a little bit of our colour scheme here, so I'm going to go along with that. We've got our lemon chiffon. I'm just going to double down a little bit on that. And just highlight where I think lights are going to be falling on our little sleepy dragon. The do not disturb sign is a little bit ominous, isn't it? And then let's just slowly build up. So even our lemon yellow, let's just start building yellows in. Because we are aiming for orange, but we need to get there believably. All right, let's move now to, let's just keep going. Let's go with some melon yellow. I've got a colour here called Deep Yellow. We're adding more browns in, aren't we? Maybe we need to introduce some, like a vermilion, French vermilion. I wonder what happens if we do that. Well, let's do it with a fine nib. Yeah. Gets so nice and flashy there, doesn't it? We were starting to go towards like a brown, but I want it to be nice bright orange. So Now I talked about this being a blend fest. I'm bringing that lemon chiffon back in. I'm going to blend again. And hopefully we've left the lighter colours where the light's hitting. I'm really giving this lemon chiffon a workout in this illustration. What do you think if we bring in that mallow? That's this colour around the glow here. Well, I think it could work really well. I think his wings are going to look good. The sails of his wings. We'll just blend them into that. I'm just going to use that colour to sort of blend in a little bit with. It's a nice light colour, so it's going to help us convince people that our dragons are. Put a little bit up there. So yellow was looking just a little bit too crazy. All right, we do need just a touch more of that purple. Not too much. So I'm bringing in the purple mallow. And I'm just using the tips. Maybe the edges of these wings. Just sort of flicking it back. And it's automatically blending for us. Look at that, beautiful. I'll bring that French vermilion back in. I've got these mushrooms here. I'm going to leave a little spot for them to reflect. But get that orange happening down here too. Maybe play with a little bit of lemon yellow. I've got some deep yellow. This under little parts here will be in shadow, so let's make them shadowed. There's some deep cream. So all this area is going to be washed in that yellow light. So the red and white mushrooms that we would like to do, I think, are going to be all washed in that light. So this is the deep yellow. All right, let's go with that purple mallow and work our way back up. So that's our purple mallow. Let's get our mallow. Continue that up. Then I think a little bit of lemon yellow, making sure I leave some white because I need that chiffon to come through. Because yeah, we're going back to the chiffon. Oh, that's not chiffon, that's deep cream. Wah! You've got too many markers scattered about the place. Right, this is our lemon yellow. I think we maybe take. Where do we go with this? Where do we go with this? Lemon yellow. Maybe some melon yellow. And then that purple mallow. What would you say if we brought in some bluebell? Which is the colour we did that sky. All right, purple mallow. And the mallow, let's bring our mallow in. And we're going to blend here. Some of our lemon yellow, we used that, didn't we? And then a lemon chiffon. Hopefully I can create a space for some highlights here. I coloured all in my white. Some purple mallow. And even a little bit of bluebell, believe it or not. All right, I'm just going to bring the lemon yellow back in. It's too fine. Give me my thick nib. Just want to bring those colours back. And our melon yellow. Just going to create this line of light through here. All right, this is my cerise. I'm going to make it a nice bright dragonfly up here. And why don't we have some, I know these are moths, but we can make vivid moths with this cerise. And I think we bring some mallow in just to, no, that's not going to be enough, is it? Where's some purple mallow? Carrying too many pens in my hand. Purple mallow. All right, I have here a milk tea multi, and I'm going to make this do not disturb sign. Milk tea multi. And even this string. Let's make that string milk tea multi. And this is my blue-grey 11. I've got those wings to match the other wings. Maybe even the eyes. All right, I've got some Prismacolors I'm going to play with today. And I just want to soften these edges. Add a little bit of softness to us. This is hot pink. I usually use polychromos, but I bought a little set of Prismas just to play with them. I heard they're a little bit more waxy than the Faber-Castell Polychromos. This hot pink's doing great. Just keep bringing some glow and softness to the sky here. Now, you don't have to play with these pencils if you don't want to. I think what we got to with the markers alone is probably enough. You could say that you'd done a great job. But you can always push it just a little bit further, can't you? And I want to bring maybe some of this colour into our jar. Just lightly bringing in the colour. And I'll be reflecting through the glass in different ways. So let's just play with that. Different tonalities, different thicknesses of pencil that you're laying down, light to dark sort of thing. Right, I'm going with another colour now. This is Process Red. I might add a little bit of the Process Red down here to my mushroomy bits. Because they are red mushrooms that have been bathed in or a yellow light. So we bring hints of that red back. I think I'm going to put some of that Process Red into our dragon here. I'm going to mix that up with this vermilion, what is it? Pale vermilion. And Process Red. I love how it's bringing some of that purpley vibe into our dragon subtly. And put some of that Process Red up his wings. And our pale vermilion. And this is our Parma Violet. Just bring a little bit of that in here, not too much. Now I want to bring a dark blue in. What have I got here? Ultramarine. And I think we do like a subtle blend out around just the edge of this glass here, just to soften it. I like bringing a little bit of that into here. So we're just echoing all of these colours, reflecting through that glass, refracting, reflecting. Just taking a little bit at a time. I don't want to go crazy here. And I think we'll put a little bit of a shadow under here. Maybe even a little bit of a dark edge around the jar, just to sort of pump it out a little bit. And I think around the edges maybe we darken it up a bit. All right, I'm just going to add a little bit of black. I want black eyes on my beetles. Maybe even a little bit of darkness in their heads. It's like they're wearing sunglasses. Right, have white. Let's get some highlights happening. No, I want my highlights to come out from here. And be subtle. But believable. Alright, we'll get some highlights on our dragon. And I think this pencil will also help us to do a bit of blending. I'm going to bring in a jelly roll because I think that we should have stars in our sky. Well guys, I think we're done. So much fun playing with this little picture. I think the key was to draw a border around it and restrict our colour to give us that lovely frame. But it was so fun playing with those lights, blending the yellows through mauves as well. Well, I enjoyed that. I hope you enjoyed colouring along. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'm going to say goodbye for now, but I will no doubt see you in another video. Thanks for watching, guys. See you later.